I just want to preface this whole video by saying that I am a big Overwatch fan. I love the characters, I love the universe, I love the lore, I love the gameplay. I was out the door one of the biggest fans of the game, but the way that Overwatch 2 has come out has left a completely awful taste in my mouth and the mouths of others. And I am joined here by Maxxii.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about the absolute disaster that Overwatch 2 is and what is wrong with it and what it could have been in this video, the teardown of Overwatch 2.
Overwatch 2 is just Overwatch. That's it.
Overwatch 2 has made big, earth-shifting changes to the Overwatch we all know and love. The nighttime maps are daytime now.
I got DC from a game, now I'm sitting at 100,000 Qs up apply. That's tough, bro. We've only had Jay, I think, disconnect so far. The rest of us have gotten lucky so far. I'm really surprised. Oh no! F who cursed me in chat? F you!
Bastion is getting a big rework for Overwatch 2.
We give him a hat to help him stand out.
So yeah, Maxxii, Overwatch 2 is out, and it's really safe to say that it is absolutely not what people were expecting. And honestly, I never would have thought that a company would have the balls to absolutely just throw this out into the world, stamp a new seal of approval on it, calling it a 2, and then accept everybody to just sit here and put up with it. Because to say that it is flawed and to say that it is not a sequel is a gross understatement that I hope we really tear apart in this video. What do you think of it?
Look, I think I agree with you to a certain extent. I think there was a decent chunk of us that expected it after the Overwatch 2 beta, where we were like, hang on, this is just Overwatch 1. But I feel like without that beta, yeah, 100%. If you look at the gameplay that we saw back in 2019 when they released a little bit of info about it and all that kind of stuff, I think there was a decent chunk of us like, wow, this is more of what I loved, packaged in a different way, giving me more opportunities. I remember seeing the previous Overwatch 2 and being so excited. I was a massive Overwatch fan for a decent chunk of time.
Yeah, so was I back in like 2016, 2017, yeah.
Yeah, when they started patching every single hero that I fell in love with and started enjoying playing with, I got kind of over it and I moved on to different games. But it's always been a kind of game that I would jump back into and mess around with. Yeah, you're right. This is the most disappointing, quote-unquote, sequel launch I think we've ever seen.
I wouldn't even say it's disappointing. It's just, honestly, it's egregious.
It's heartbreaking.
It is absolutely insane that they would go as far as they have to try to market it in a completely disingenuous way to its fans, when the entire purpose of this entire rebranding and this free-to-play transition is to make money. Plain and simple. They don't care about their community. At least not like corporate. Obviously the developers and a lot of the people that work there do. And to the devs, this isn't an attack on you or anything. This is just an attack on the game as a whole. It's just disgusting. It's completely obvious to anyone that goes and looks at the comparison videos. You showed me one right before we had this discussion, that this isn't a sequel. This isn't an improved graphics overhaul. This is nothing drastic. This is nothing that is worth stamping a 2 on. It's a patch. And it is a patch that they are trying their damnedest to shove down people's throats and say that it's this massive, huge change. And I'm honestly not putting up for it.
Yeah, you're right. It is egregious. It is. It feels like being taken advantage of. And look, I agree with you that a lot of the people who work in the dev team would be passionate about making a great game and etc, etc. But surely there were people on that dev team with enough functioning brain power to be watching the gameplay for Overwatch 2, to be watching what was being made and what was being designed and think to themselves, well, hang on, we're not really doing anything much different from the first game. In fact, it looks exactly the same. Someone needs to say something. I would be baffled if it turned out that nobody had put their hand up at any point and said to Blizzard, we're making a mistake. But irregardless of whether or not that did happen, we've been given what we've been given, and it is, yeah, it's a sad day. If you're an Overwatch fan, if you're a hardcore Overwatch fan, especially if you've been playing Overwatch since day one and you've been playing it the whole time, which I know there are some of you out there, I'm sorry. This is, I feel actually terrible for you. This is horrible.
Yep. Let's talk about some of the problems that are just plaguing the current game. Like gameplay, maps, character redesigns, all that stuff withstanding. We'll get to that. Let's just talk about like how the game is functioning. Now, Blizzard is a small indie company who obviously doesn't have the money or anyone big supporting them, or anyone bigger than their big parents supporting them, bigger than that to support them, to give them any money for this. And it's not surprising that there's issues, but I don't think they were going to be as bad as they are right now. If you've watched Video Game Donkey's video, you can see that there is a queue problem, and this is not something that just a couple of people are dealing with. This is a tremendous problem to where people are experiencing 3 to 7 hour queues just to play the game, only to get disconnected or, you know, something to happen and then have to sit through the queue again. Now, obviously, no company can be expected to know exactly how many people are going to be wanting to play their game or how much interest is going to be out for it.
Surely you knew that there was going to be a larger influx. I've seen a lot of excuses going around of like, well, they just transitioned everyone over to the Overwatch 1 servers, which were used to the normal Overwatch 1 player base. Nah.
It's not an excuse.
I'm sorry, man.
I think the thing to remember too is that Blizzard is not new when it comes to player queues and MMOs. I remember Diablo 3 had the same problem, except that they had like the Era 37 or whatever it was that plagued everything, but it was still massive queues, massive server load, huge issues. World of Warcraft, they just released Wrath of the Lich King. Same exact problem, way to a lesser extent. So they know how to deal with this, and they know to prepare for these, and they clearly have the resource power and the ability to make these things work, but it was just woefully underprepared. There's also a huge issue that people are experiencing where their progress and their character accounts aren't transferring over into the new game. There's people that have like 1,000+ hours that tried to play the game and their accounts haven't been migrated over, and they just don't have all their stuff. They don't have their skins, they don't have their emotes, they don't have all the things that you would expect in a full transfer. And Blizzard actually talked about it and said that, hey, you know, it's going to be in the next week or two that we get merging all the accounts done and putting everything over, but you knew your release was coming. Why didn't you clone your servers, your player data and everything, and prepare this beforehand? It's just everything they're doing with this game and this launch is just half-assed and more like a band-aid than obviously showing that they care. And to say that it doesn't feel like ridiculously corporate would be wrong. It genuinely feels like they're in it to make money. The effort's not there. Things like transferring player data, which is completely doable, like months before launch. I mean, even like just to see what they've purchased, even like a week before launch would have been nice. But the fact that this stuff is happening is just unbelievable for a company that makes billions of dollars on this game, specifically over $1 billion on this game. And it's just, there's no passion, Maxxii. It feels like the passion has been completely stripped from Overwatch. Like the people in charge just do not care.
Yeah, if they had just turned around and said, we are releasing a massive patch for Overwatch 1. It's going to turn Overwatch 1 into a live service-based game. For all the people that have purchased Overwatch 1, you're going to get a massive bonus of, I don't know, maybe you unlock the first 50 levels of the Battle Pass or whatever, right? As well as a couple uniques. Every character gets a unique skin to say thank you for your support in Overwatch 1 or something like that. But we are now transitioning the game into a free-to-play model. We're updating a couple of the graphic fidelity things. We're adding more particle effects, making some serious changes to the HUD and all that. Like, I think the Overwatch community would have been overjoyed. And then they could have turned around and said, and we are currently working on a PvE story-based system that we will be calling Overwatch 2. It will be completely separate from the Overwatch 1 PvP aspect, but your skins and everything will have the ability to carry over into Overwatch 2, into that PvE aspect. You know, they could have done what Call of Duty has been doing with Warzone, where they release new games, but keep Warzone the same and just add new... They could have done that, but they didn't. They slapped a big old 2 on it, told us it was a sequel, told us all of the things that were going to come with the game, and then delivered on none of that stuff. It genuinely feels like the development team for Overwatch 2 has spent the last couple of years sitting inside their office playing World of Warcraft, and then 10 days before the release was due, they went, oh shit, just hit Control-C, Control-V, and up the particle effects. That's what it feels like. And you'll be able to see as we're talking. I found a great comparison video that Dell and I kind of had a bit of a squiz at before we started recording this. You'll be able to see some of the subtle changes they made, like removing lines from one area of the HUD and adding them to another. This is not a sequel. And it genuinely makes me furious to know that there are people out there that got mad about The Last of Us Part 1 being just a remake of the original Last of Us and Last of Us Remastered and saying, what's the point? There's no need for this, rah, rah. I'm sorry, if you look at the comparison for Last of Us 1 and Last of Us Part 1, they look like very different games. The attention to detail in Last of Us Part 1 compared to Last of Us 1 is insane. It actually looks like something that was redone that has actually had work put into it. If you look at the side-by-side to Overwatch 2, I'm sorry, without the HUD, you could not genuinely tell me which was Overwatch 1 and which one was Overwatch 2. I would defy anybody to be able to nail that 100% of the time, because you couldn't. You have to understand that this is so scummy. It's taking advantage of you as a consumer to purchase more. And it couldn't be more obvious that was the case, because they didn't have to deactivate the Overwatch 1 servers.
No, they didn't have to. No, absolutely not.
They didn't have to. And the fact that they did shows you. It shows you that they know that these are basically the same game. And because they're like, well, Overwatch 2 is free, you can get it for free, so why would we keep the Overwatch 1 servers up?
Yeah, I mean, even on PlayStation. So somebody pointed out that the PlayStation Store, the Overwatch 1 code and the listing and everything is the exact same listing as Overwatch 2. If you go there and you look at your statistics, they're absolutely the same hours played. It shows your date that you purchased it, everything. They just replaced the Overwatch 1 with Overwatch 2 and tried to call it a new game. And for all intents and purposes, it's a downgrade. They basically took what was great about the game, the fact that you could just buy the game and have all 32 heroes, the original 32. You could play and do all that stuff. It was all available. They took that free-to-play model and they stripped down what the game initially was, and they made it a grind. Everything is completely incentivized around milking new players that are coming to the game, and including old players, to just spend money. For example, just to unlock all 32 original heroes, which are, by the way, incredibly necessary for how the meta game is with hero swapping and counter picking, you have to play around 100 games and do decently to unlock the original 32 characters. And new things like skins and cosmetics and whatnot are going to take you upwards of 8 months of playing to unlock a single skin. There was a Reddit breakdown talking about how there's a limited amount of coins that you can get per week. And don't get me wrong, it's subject to change, but this is how it is right now. There's a limited amount you can get per week. Legendary skins cost like 1,800. You get somewhere like 40 to 60 coins a week. That's your limitation, and that's how long it's going to take you to unlock, which is about 8 months. And that's insane. It's not even like a fair thing to players. It is, you're a free-to-play player. We are going to put so many hurdles in front of you. Rather than making you fall in love with this game, rather than impressing you and encouraging you to have fun and making it a good experience, we are going to limit and hinder you so much that we are going to force you psychologically to spend money on this game or get crapped on and feel like a piece of shit. And it's so much different than how Blizzard used to be. It is such a fuck you to their, just one of their best franchises that is more beloved than I think pretty much any other franchise. You know, Maxxii, I don't know if you agree with this, but Overwatch fans and people fans of the characters in the universe are crazy, crazy hardcore.
Yeah, they're hardcore for it.
And just to be like, hey, we're going to offer this to people who might not be able to afford it, and then to just basically cut their legs off and hobble them and say, good luck, loser, maybe you should buy a wheelchair. It's like, what the hell? It is such
But also, I just want to point out, for those of you that are maybe sitting there and thinking, well, you know, 8 months of time isn't that big of a deal if, you know, like you're a hardcore player and stuff like that and you really want to play. Don't fret. If you're not a hardcore player, you can spend money to advance in the battle pass. Don't worry. Blizzard didn't forget about that aspect. That aspect is alive and well and ready to go. And it is not cheap. For 500 coins, it's $5 I believe. I've got $7.50 in Australia.
It's 100 to 1, yeah. For a legendary skin, that's 1,900 coins. And it's 60 Overwatch coins per week is what you can get. It's 1900
Yep.
coins for a legendary skin, or $19. Or if you want to actually get it free to play, it's 8 months is what we're saying.
Exactly. So, you know, like don't think that, oh, well, you know, it's a live service game, but they're not trying to get my money. They are 100% trying to get your money. That's why the grind is there. It is to make you think, well, I could spend 8 months or $20. I'd rather spend the $20, which I'm in that camp 100%. If a game tells me you can spend 8 months doing this, or you can just spend $20, I think to myself, $20 is like 20 minutes, half an hour work for me within my particular financial situation, right? So I'd rather spend that than spend 8 months grinding to get one thing. But there are some people out there that can't. But Blizzard doesn't care about those people. Let's be 100%
Absolutely,
real.
yeah. They don't care.
Even creating it free to play
They
and
don't care
saying,
about
oh,
it,
well,
yeah.
this is so that everybody can get in. You don't have to spend $60 and rah rah rah. Think about it like this. I know you pointed out to me before we started this recording that they have rolled back this decision. But at the moment, as far as I know, you need to have a mobile phone number on a plan or a contract to actually play Overwatch 2. So anybody under the age of 18, forget about it. You can't play Overwatch 2. You just can't, because you have to be over the age, well, in Australia anyway, you have to be over the age of 18 to get a mobile phone contract.
Yep,
Every
or you have to be
kid
on your
under the age of
families in
18,
America.
or
Yeah.
you have to be on your family plan. And a lot of families don't give their kids like plans like that. At least they didn't when I was a kid, right? And when I worked in telecommunications, I didn't have a lot of people coming in being like, can you hook my son up? A lot of them were, I want a new phone and I want to get my son a prepaid card, or I want to get my daughter a prepaid card.
Yeah, and
Those
it's
kids
not uncommon.
can't play Overwatch
Yeah.
2.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of cases, and obviously they'll be on the screen right now. It's just showing a lot of the stuff on people complaining about this. One player said that he's played Overwatch since launch on prepaid Walmart cards because it's all he can afford. And he's just been using it because it's cost effective. He doesn't need to use his phone much, but he's no longer allowed to play Overwatch 2 because he doesn't have a real plan, and he's just been using prepaid Walmart cards.
One person pointed out the fact that they were that they were an immigrant that had sought asylum in America and was now living here, but wasn't actually legally allowed to get a contract yet because they weren't an American citizen, and they love Overwatch and can no longer play Overwatch 2.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not just limited to prepaid cards either. I mean, Cricket is a mobile provider in the United States that uses a prepaid sort of service to essentially get people cheaper plans. They're still plans, but Blizzard decided that they didn't like Cricket, and so Cricket wasn't available at launch. And it's just, even though they've backtracked, and yes, they've already said in a public statement they're going to be making it so anyone that bought the game is going to be able to play without a mobile phone number attached and all that now coming in the next week, it doesn't make the fact that they thought this was okay at launch good. The fact that they are backtracking isn't a way to just say this is okay. Oh, good on you, Blizzard, for fixing something you shouldn't have done in the first place. And don't get me wrong, I understand the mentality. They are trying to prevent free-to-play cheaters from getting into the game and making a lot of hurdles for them to get over. Like they said, the hero grind is to prevent cheaters from having an advantage. They said that the prepaid phone thing was to prevent cheaters from creating new accounts and just cheating again. The amount of people that are going to quit the game because of cheaters versus blocking an entire form of verification and making people grind for 100 games to play basic heroes, more people will quit because of those two things by a factor of thousands than will quit because they fought a hacker in one game one time. That is, it is such backwards thinking, and it's all because of money. And that's really what this game reeks of. It's just, I want money. I want to incentivize people to pay for X thing, pay for Y thing. I want people to pay for time skips. I want people to throw more money at me. Money. And it's just, this isn't what Overwatch was about, man. This wasn't, when I went to the interviews back in 2016 and Joe and I went, and we actually went to the devs and we met the community managers. We met the developers. We got to talk about what it was like working on the game. It was all about passion and just creating a game that was meant for a general audience, non-FPS players, to let them play FPSs and enjoy the game. And it was about including everyone and being inclusive. And to say that this gaming is inclusive right now is a lie. It is an exclusive game meant for very specific types of people. It's excluding the average person that wants to play, the person that can't afford to buy the game, the person that can't afford to buy skins, and it's basically saying you're too poor for our game, eat shit. But it's just to have people in charge of this game sitting down and saying, we're perfectionists, we never thought the game is good enough to ship because we always want to find things wrong to fix. It's like, I don't think you're just finding you just don't think it's good enough to ship because you're trying to criticize it. I don't think you think it's good enough to ship because it's not good enough to ship. Like, that is not the reason.
But no, fuck you. You don't get to be like, well, we're trying to make sure that it's good enough to ship. It was good enough to ship in 2016. You already did it. It's done. What did you do different? Nothing.
And that brings up something that I wanted to talk about because I had completely forgotten about it. The fact that Overwatch 2 initially, when it was shown off in 2019 and talked about, was not meant to be a PvP game. It was Overwatch 2 was the PvE universe and lore and story and just like hero shooter like Vermintide of Overwatch 1. And Overwatch was supposed to stay the competitive shooter, and Overwatch 2 was supposed to be PvE, and they showed off all of this work that they had worked on from 2016 to 2019. And it was awesome looking. We're talking talent trees, we're talking complete overhauls to characters, we're talking full cutscenes, we're talking voiced missions, bosses, like progression, character interactions. All of this stuff was done, and there's footage of this at BlizzCon in 2019 to show that this much work was done, that this tremendous hill of effort was made, and they still couldn't put out the PvE with Overwatch 2 because initially, Maxxii, and I don't know if you felt the same way, and I don't know if anyone in the watching this video felt this, when they announced Overwatch 2, I was excited for the PvE. I think the general reception was everyone was like, the PvE is what we're waiting for. This is going to be awesome. This is going to make this game and this community so much better. It's going to build characters and stories around all these characters I love playing. It's going to get backgrounds. It's going to make like an actual understanding of what happened to lead to this point in the game. And it's just been, there's nothing.
When I saw the gameplay for Overwatch 2, when I saw the Rio de Janeiro mission, the co-op one in 2019, right? I was sitting with one of my closest friends and I said to him, oh my God, this is the new zombies. This is the new Call of Duty Zombies. This is going to be huge. If they do this right? If they do this right, think about it. It's like zombies, but so many characters. You can level up so many characters and have so many abilities, and there's so many different builds and combinations that you can put together. And they have they're going to be able to update it with new missions and levels regularly. They're going to be able to add stories and Easter eggs and all. It is going to be like, think about the hype that is was behind Call of Duty Zombies, because I feel like Call of Duty Zombies has fallen off a little bit. In the heyday of like Black Ops 2, like Zombies, the game, it was like, holy crap, how is nobody else doing something like this? Then Blizzard came forward and went, we're doing something like this. Because, well, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, so
basically like an endless horde mode type. Yeah, Vermintide. Yeah, exactly. Vermintide, fantastic game.
Fantastic.
Yeah, actually, fantastic games. Brilliant, right? But then, and that's the thing, it's like, it's so exciting to see like so much. Like, if this game had come out and then you call your development team rock stars of the industry, I'd be like,
absolutely,
100%.
And I mean, they had everything figured out too. They had story missions and hero missions, which they talked about in 2019. They said that hero missions were going to be replayable adventure modes like in Diablo 3, endlessly replayable to level your characters, get upgrades, get gear. And story missions were going to be like the main story in Vermintide, where you have an objective, you work together, you could play it different ways, you can use different characters and everything, and it would be great. And like I said, they had full progression. They had character talents done. And I have an article here with videos and breakdowns and interview discussion where they talk about Tracer's talents. Level 1, Tracer gets adaptive reload. You know, level 1, there's chain reaction. So it was either or. You get to pick what happens. You know, level 10, you got like flash bombs. Level 10, you've got hindsight. 20 is vortex or speed kills. Like, there's whole upgrades for leveling up these characters and evolving them. And like Maxxii said, allowing you to pick A or B and do these crazy builds. Where is it? And this was the last time they showed this off. And the whole thing was that everyone was like, when the PvP beta came out for Overwatch 2, everyone was like, this is just Overwatch 1. Where's the PvE? And they still don't have a release date for the PvE. They're still not showing it off. And they just, it's like the board of directors was like, we need to make more money. We need to put something out. That obviously Overwatch 2 was supposed to be PvE, but we're just going to milk it and throw it out there to make our investors happy. And just say that we're relaunching the PvP edition or like all over again. It's just, it's not what I wanted. It's not what the community wants. And the way that they've gone about doing this is like the biggest failure, I think, of a franchise to its community I've ever seen. And it's just sad, man, because my biggest complaint with live service games is that they just don't respect the player's time anymore. And it feels like this is the peak of the mountain in not respecting players' times. because you're expected to just do this and wait and wait and wait or spend money. And it more and more, we're just getting to the point where playing a game feels like a second job, where they don't want you to play any other game other than their game, period. And they make it so that if you don't commit to that, you feel like you missed out on stuff and you just get FOMO. And I hate the way that this is trending. Obviously, like Maxxii said, we could go on with this forever, but Overwatch 2 is not worth it in my opinion. It is a sad excuse of a sequel. It is a patch. I would say that it's even a downgrade because of what they're doing to the new player experience. They've basically just said, nah, go screw yourself. You're not allowed to be even slightly able to enjoy this game without spending money. And it's just a disappointment. I am just sad because this had such a potential to come out with its like both arms swinging. Could have come out with PvP and PvE if they wanted to put PvP.
This could have been the game of the year, dude.
Game, yeah. I just want to say right now too. So I'm watching the PvE gameplay from 2019. There's a comment here that's all these cutscenes and everything. It says these events are probably the best thing in the game alongside the workshop. Which what the fuck happened to the workshop, dude? I completely forgot about that. And then
what
they said
was the workshop?
I don't remember. I just remember the word like it was something they're working on, but it was like they should work on them more often. This person came back a few days ago and edited in his comment and said, Lamau, this aged horribly. I don't even remember the workshop, but God, the TLDR, I'm sad about Overwatch 2, and I think Maxxii like echoes that. So
yeah, we kind of put reviews on the back burner for a second because I think this is something that genuinely needed to be addressed. It's something that a lot of people have been talking about in a lot of negative ways, and we want to let you guys know that we're with you 100%. We agree, and we're as heartbroken as you are that this is happening. And look, you know, hey, watch this space, man, obviously, because who knows, maybe when they release the PvE for Overwatch 2, it'll be completely game-changing and stuff like that. But
hope, man.
The way I am looking at it and seeing it is that they released this game knowing full well what it was going to do, knowing full well the quality that they were releasing, and they did it anyway, and I don't even know if that's forgivable.
And on that note, we're going to end this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let us know all your thoughts down below in the comments, what you think about this, if we forgot about talking about anything specific, if there were features promised that we didn't get that we missed. I'm genuinely interested in hearing your thoughts, and I guess the best thing to say is until the next video, this is Delrith and Maxxii, and we'll be seeing you. Bye.
Bye.